Today, we assume the President of the United States is the most protected human on Earth, shielded by armor, elite agents, and massive security. We remember the famous assassins who managed to slip through those defenses. But for most of American history, bullets were only one part of the danger. The most relentless enemies were invisible killers lurking inside the White House itself, and the doctors sworn to protect the commander-in-chief. For over a century, the prestige of the highest office trapped presidents in a lethal cycle of environmental contamination and medical malpractice. William Henry Harrison holds the record for the shortest presidency, often blamed on a 2-hour inauguration speech he gave in the freezing rain without a coat. But Harrison didn't fall ill until 3 weeks after that speech. Modern research suggests the true cause was typhoid fever or septic shock, brought on by the Capitol's water supply. Bacteria flowed directly through the White House pipes, turning the presidential residence into a primary source of infection. A decade later, Zachary Taylor attempted to cool off during a sweltering July 4th celebration by eating raw cherries and drinking cold milk. In the mid-19th century, food safety regulations were non-existent. That ordinary snack gave Taylor a fatal case of gastroenteritis, killing him in just 5 days. This chart visualizes the density of lethal pathogen compared to modern standards. In this era, even a standard meal was a high-stakes gamble. Before assassins were the primary concern, basic biological necessities like eating and drinking inside the Capitol were deadly risks. While the environment was dangerous, the presidents also faced active killers, the era's most trusted medical professionals. This lethal dynamic started with George Washington. Washington contracted epiglottitis, a throat infection that is easily treated today. In 1799, however, he fell victim to the era's flawed medical theories. His doctors prescribed aggressive bloodletting, believing they could drain the sickness directly out of his body. They removed 80 ounces of blood, nearly half of the total volume in his body. This treatment destroyed his remaining strength and ended any chance of a natural recovery. Surviving the Revolutionary War meant very little once a president was subjected to the hubris of early medical theory. James Garfield represents the ultimate medical tragedy. He actually survived the initial shots fired by his assassin. The bullet missed his vital organs and lodged in his back. In a modern hospital, or even if left alone, he likely would have recovered. Instead, a team of doctors arrived and introduced massive infections by probing the wound with unwashed fingers and unsterilized tools. This medical intervention lasted for 80 agonizing days, allowing sepsis to spread throughout his body until he finally succumbed. President William McKinley faced a similarly tragic medical failure 2 decades later. During a public reception in Buffalo, an assassin fired 2 bullets into McKinley's abdomen. Surgeons operated in a chaotic, unsterile environment. They were unable to locate the bullet and close the wound, allowing gangrene to set in and finish what the assassin started. In these cases, the assassins merely pulled the trigger. It was the medical establishment of the time that delivered the fatal blow. These deaths were symptoms of the office. The prestige of the presidency attracted overzealous doctors who were desperate to prove themselves on a world stage. The entire nation watched these prolonged medical death watches, waiting in the streets for any news from the bedside. While the public eventually demanded the protection of the Secret Service, bodyguards could only address half the danger. The true survival of the presidency came with the acceptance of germ theory, water sanitation, and the development of antibiotics. This graph plots the average presidential lifespan over time. There is a sharp upward inflection point right when these medical advancements became the global standard. The slow progress of scientific discovery finally neutralized the environmental and medical hazards of the office, transforming the presidency into a survivable job.